Okay. Good morning, or I could say at this point,
good evening to Germany.
good evening to our students in Germany. No, it's still afternoon, right?
It's 5 something.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Eric and Sophia. And let's see here, it's a little bit earlier for Rachel. Good morning, Rachel. And to everybody else out there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our lecture on meditation. This will be part 1 of our lecture from Zen Den Yoga School. Thank you, Val. And I'm just turning some pages so I can just keep my my structure together as I lead through this. We still have one student here with us, Kim. Hello, Kim. She's behind the camera. So let's see here very quickly. Where's meditation page was?
Yeah, we want to send a shout out to Rachel in Colorado, and to Eric and Sophia, and to thank Kim for, being here with us in person, and wherever you are, that you're beautifully safe, feeling high vibe, and we'll get started.
All right, fantastic. So, as I did mention, today's lecture is going to be on meditation. And I just want to start off by saying a few things, and then I'll keep going by saying more things, because that's what we do when we lecture, right? Okay. So, first off, meditation, I mentioned this morning during our meditation live, which we are now doing every morning at 8 a.m., and I hope many of you out there will join us and share it and make watch parties and all that good kind of stuff, so people can learn about meditation, people can come to experience the many forms of meditation and different ways in which we do it, and come to learn what it's really about. Now, meditation is often referred to as something that is relaxing or relaxation, right? We'll hear the doctors will tell you if you're stressed out, you could use some yoga, you could use some meditation. And people are like, oh, well, what is meditation? And a lot of people think meditation is somewhere where you go, you sit, and you do nothing. But that's actually not the truth. There's actually a lot that's going on. We're not doing nothing. We're actually being quite aware of the something that is taking place, and then choosing not to react or even interact with it. Because there is a term in yoga in Sanskrit called nirodha, which means the stilling of the mind. Okay? To nirodha, to still. So the idea is that we understand that the mind is always moving, it's always got things that it's going through, and we just want to make sure that we are learning the concepts and the practices and getting the tools to simply be what we call an impartial witness, which is someone who is going to simply watch the movie screen or listen to the radio that's going on in our mind and our eyes while we collect the willpower by showing up each time to sit in our stillness and be okay with what is. Okay? So we're going to start with that. I'm just going to do a quick little reading here. Okay?
In your manuals, for those of you who have them.
Yes. So relaxation, referred to here as meditation, will take us to a state of the awareness of our true being, our soul. A state of complete and spontaneous relaxation, innocence, and bliss. This is what we call in yoga the state of samadhi, which comes after reaching the state of meditation. Okay? So in this section, we're going to discuss the theories behind relaxation, and at the end of the section, we will provide examples, okay, and techniques of relaxation and meditation. And every morning at 8 a.m., we're going to be doing meditations, different types of meditation techniques, so all of you can come and sit in with us and, start to learn how to meditate, because everybody can do it. And if you don't believe me, I'll make it real simple to you. See, to meditate means to cognitively, consciously choose not to use our mind. Well, Many people say, oh, I can't do that. I have a hard problem doing that. But everybody does it every day. When you make the choice consciously to cognitively no longer be involved with your mind when you go to sleep. See, when we go to sleep, we choose not to cognize or get involved in anything that is taking place in our mind. We don't give a first thought, a second thought. We don't get involved with it, and in turn, we fall into a state of meditation, which then we fall into sleep. See, the difference between meditation and sleep is only a fraction of a heartbeat and a minute or so difference. See, the average person takes anywhere from 7 to 15 minutes to fall asleep when they lay down in bed. And the average person takes 7 to 15 minutes to fall into a state of meditation. So one must happen before the other. So now that you all understand and know that, yes, you can meditate, let's talk more about it. What did you just do?
Can't see you. Now we can.
Hold on 1 second, please. I'll be right back.
All right. This phone, you were showing up just your feet. Just want to make sure everybody can see everybody. We got some confirmation from others that somehow the phone wasn't upright.
Okay. Go from here. Thank you, everybody. Let's just hope that the cameras stay as they're supposed to. Sometimes things move. We'll have to check on it from time to time. Okay, so by definition, meditation is transcendental. And what does that mean right there? A lot of people get confused with this word transcendental. What does that mean? It means that we have the ability in which to leave the body, focusing on the mind and keeping it positive. But the rishis, the teachers, okay, the gurus, they advise us to stay focused so that the meditation will become an integral part of our everyday life. And basic but not necessary as eating, but necessary, my fault, as eating and sleeping. So, what does this mean? Transcendental, the ability for us to morph or switch from our physical body into our spiritual body, into our energetic body. Okay? So, when doing this, by slowly going further and further inwards, we actually start to leave the body, and people, when meditating, will often say, I don't feel my body. Because that's exactly what takes place. We are able to, with pratyahara, sense withdrawal, allow ourselves to leave the sensation of our senses and the information coming in, as well as even the senses of our body. And we get to start to come to the more subtle awareness of our spirit. We can start to literally feel maybe the heart beating. Or like this morning in the meditation, just feeling your lungs expanding, but yet your body outwardly is not moving. Or maybe feeling just our energy sense starting to vibrate. Some people call it our aura as we sit and we meditate. Okay? So, by definition, meditation is transcendental, in which all fears, desires, longings, and negative emotions, and even positive attachments become left behind. And some people may say, well, why wouldn't we want to keep positive things in our mind? Oh, they're there. But the idea of having an attachment to something positive, anytime we have an attachment to something, we're going to have suffering as soon as we lose that which we are trying to hold on to. So understanding that good times come in our life, great things happen to us, be present in them, celebrate them as they're happening, and then as they move on, we can let them go. It doesn't mean that they didn't happen. It doesn't mean that you're going to forget about them. It doesn't mean that what it does mean is that we don't need to hold on to them and make it seem like that's the only thing that matters. It's kind of like, maybe a lot of you will get this one. Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. in the morning. See, everybody enjoys. They love going out. They're having a good time. They're with friends. They're dancing. They're singing. You're doing good things. And then all of a sudden 2 a.m. rolls around. Everybody's had a great night, but there's always those few that don't want to let go of it. They don't want to let go. And they just try to hold and hold and hold onto it. But nothing good happens after 2 a.m. We all know that. And then the way we wake up the very next morning, we're going to feel that, right? We're not going to be in our best safe space because we were trying to hold on to something all night long. The good time is there when it's there. Our loved ones are there when they're there. So I'm going to speak into this attachment real quickly like this. What happens when we lose a loved one? We go through the 7 stages of grief, right? We've got sorrow, we've got anger, we've got sadness, we have all of these things, and they're all forms of attachment. See, when someone passes away, you do not lose them. You do not forget them. You can accept their passing because you had the time with them. You got to know them. They're alive in your heart. Those memories will always be there. So the sooner we get past the grieving part in those 7 stages, we get to release those attachments that are creating those 7 stages. And then we move into the infinite, into the abundance of recognizing that we had life with these people and we still have life further with them. We see them in the mirror when we look at ourselves. We hear them when we speak. We realize we start saying things that they said. We come to hear songs or smell something that reminds us of them. See, we never lose them. We don't need to forget or think that we're going to forget them. We don't need to hold on to the sorrow. These are attachments that create suffering. So part of the idea of this meditation is to release our attachments. Because we're going to see that thoughts and visions and things are going to be coming up in our meditation. And the idea is to not react to them, to even not interact with them, unless we actually have a purpose and a focus of getting involved with something that we're looking to create. Okay, but we can get back to that a little bit later at another time.
So let's just take a moment with this, because people right now, are out there, and there may be a sense of loss from people who are going through losing somebody during this time with the virus. And so being able to let go of an attachment is not to say you don't feel these different stages that I was talking about. And even in meditation, there's a place in attachment where we're recognizing it, we have the awareness of it, and that in that awareness, we can choose to acknowledge it or get involved and have a conversation. So in the case of meditation, we want to recognize it, maybe even label it thinking, and rather than getting involved with the conversation, being with that experience, emotion, whatever that is coming up for you. And in the acknowledgement, you can allow yourself to allow it to pass through, almost like clouds passing by. And so it's not to say that we don't experience our experience in yoga by letting go of the attachments. It's to say that in that space, we can slow down the urge and the egoic desire, the manas, to get involved and have a conversation about it, and that little voice in the head, right, going on and on. We can slowly but surely allow that to become quieter and quieter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we come to realize is that by quieting the mind and through the practice of meditation and direct experience, can our essence come to be known, right? Because we only really get to know ourselves once we quiet all the chitter chatter in the mind. Right? So also through meditation, we can still the mind, develop intuitive abilities, and touch with the supreme essence, bringing peace, compassion, joy, and understanding into the process. And that's a really big thing right there. Compassion, joy, right? Because often when we sit to meditate, especially beginning meditators, when you sit down to meditate, you might sit and you're like, oh, I'm doing this wrong, it's not working. We fill ourselves with all of this judgment. But the reality is we need to have compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
Compassion for our practice. And understanding that there's a duality that is alive and well in us. It's our soul being one and our mind being another. Mm-hmm. So once we come to recognize we are the soul and stop identifying with the mind, we come to this inner peace space. See, so yoga differs from Western philosophy. Teachings in the sense that yoga states to focus on the self only and not on others. Now, don't get me wrong here, okay? We believe that we are one with everybody and we are part of a community. But listen to the second sentence. Yoga teaches that to find peace, we must first develop peace within ourselves. That's what yoga is teaching. How can we bring peace out onto the world if we don't have that peace within ourselves? If we have disruption, if we have anger, if we have fear that's dwelling within ourselves, well, that's what we're going to project into the outside world. Are we helping others with that? No, we're not. Nor ourselves. So the challenge is to gain control of our own internal world through the practice of yoga and meditation, so that we can then reflect that outwardly into the world around us. And that's where so many people come and say, oh wow, you're so relaxed, you're so calm, you always have a positive outlook, you're always finding solutions to things. Oh, you always seem to be unwavered by all this nonsense that's going on. Yes, that's right. Because in yoga and our meditation, we come to find that inner peace. We come to find where we dwell in our heart space. It's filled with love. It's filled with compassion. It's filled with honesty, sincerity. Right? So this is what we're going to cultivate with our meditation practice.
And even beyond that, just by your being, right, your vibration will change. So all those things that I was talking about, it's not even in what you're projecting. It's just how you are walking in a room. People feel that. You can feel the difference by changing your vibration through meditation. It's amazing.
Oh. So in a world that is constantly moving and changing, and we know that right now for sure, meditation teaches us to slow down and focus the mind. From there, meditation is a state of consciousness, a state of flow, uninterrupted consciousness. It is not a void, but the fullness of pure consciousness itself. So now we're speaking of consciousness above and beyond us. We're speaking about connecting with Source itself, the pure consciousness, one that is not wavered by good or bad. Right? For those that are in religion, we have God. And we have the devil. We have heaven, and we have hell. We have angels, and we have demons. See, duality exists in everything, even in pure consciousness. But it's what we choose to bring forward, what we choose to connect with, what we choose to create, that is what's most important. Our mind is feeble. Our mind is finite. It comes to learn that it is born and it will die. Therefore, it tries and does its very best to keep us in a conversation all the time. It wants to identify everything around it and make it familiar, which takes us out of the present moment. Because when we're making something familiar, then that means we're attaching to something either we've learned in the past or something we've experienced in the past, which takes us out of the very present moment, which stops us from allowing meditation and to see things simply as they are from the soul space. See, And this is the idea. We're going to come to identify with our soul and stop identifying with our mind, and recognizing that our mind is just a hard drive and a CPU. It's constantly processing information, and it's constantly bringing stuff up for us, the soul, to make choices with. But when we start retraining the mind, we start experiencing everything from the present moment, which meditation helps us to do, well, then the mind just becomes a tool. And we start living from a very content space, bringing our content and joyful meditation into our very present world. Because the world is just meditation with our eyes open. So while sitting, the mind will fruitlessly find selfless love, the very source of bliss. Through misguided actions and thought patterns, we have mislaid this natural state, and in order to find our true nature, we need to realign ourselves to the eternal, universal laws of health, love, and harmony. It is not a void, but the fullness of pure consciousness itself. So I don't want you to think that, well, if we get to nothing, then we're just at nothing. No, because in the nothing is everything that is possible. Yeah. But from the peace of the nothing, now you get to choose. You get to choose what you want to pull from the everything and manifest into something.
So that everything and the nothing, that yin and yang, always exists. So through the duality, we come back to oneness. And that's where that pure co-creation takes place, right? When we're connecting with source energy, when we're in that flow state, that's how that co-creation takes place. And you can actually be in a meditation, we'll get to this later, but there's downloads of information that come through for you to then move into in your life. There's vision, intuition that opens up, that third eye, Ajna chakra. So through this connectivity, that opens up into this like huge energy field, right? It's not really nothingness. It's 0 point energy field where everything is at the same time as the nothingness of that spaciousness.
Aho.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Pretty cool.
All right. So we hope you're all following us. Now we're going to move into some of the things that we need to consider, okay, when meditating. All right? So we know that meditation is a process, and as such, it takes time, right? It's a practice. It's a process. So that's why we need to learn the process, the what to do's, the what not to do's, the 8 limbs, and all of these steps that I'm going to be teaching you. As well as, if any of you get a chance, you want to get a book. It's written by Dennis Hill. It is his translation of the Yoga Sutras. It should be up there if I will be able to show it. The Yoga Sutras is a systematic scientific approach of how to meditate. To come to understand the mind, how it works, what meditation should feel like, the steps and the processes that will come along, the things that we will come to find from it, and then ultimately meditation and samadhi and what the powers will be when we get to that space as well. All right, so Val brought over the Yoga Sutra book. I hope some of you can see it. I don't know, maybe you can zoom in. I don't know if you can zoom in on Facebook or not.
I don't think you can do it on Facebook Live.
All right. Again, it's called Yoga Sutras. And the author of this one is Dennis Hill. He was the only American, or the first American, to write the translation of the Yoga Sutras. So, the first thing that we want to consider when meditating is the place of meditation. See, we want to maintain a space to be used solely for meditation, clean and tidy, and free from distractions, vibrations. We want to keep this space sacred. Now, look, easier said than done. Val and I, we have a yoga studio. We have a big meditation room here. I don't know how many people out there have their own meditation room, right? However, everybody can create a place in their home, in their office, even outside, that becomes your place for meditation. So let's talk a little bit more into this place. A place of focus. We might set up a table in the room with a light source, maybe a candle, an oil lamp, being a potent spiritual symbol. Your sacred space will soon have a magnetic aura created by you during meditation. In times of stress, you can retreat to your space, practice, and experience comfort and relief. So I want to just back that up a little bit for someone who might be saying, well, what is this magnetic aura created during our meditation? See, when we sit to meditate, we are affecting our electronic field. Okay? So we know that electricity, right, can be measured. Mathematics. So in turn, our aura, our energetic field, is going to change and increase and expand, right? And with that, if we're sitting in a room, that starts to expand throughout the entire room. We can literally change the electric
magnetic field.
The electric magnetic field, thank you,
Yeah.
of the room around us. And that stays in the room. So what it's saying is when you find a space and you create it, it becomes your meditative space. Every time you then walk into that space, naturally, those magnetic fields are there. Naturally, we start to feel more relaxed.
Yes.
Okay?
That's the goal.
So, purify your meditation area. And to purify your area of negative energy, you can use a short ritual that we call a rati at the end of your meditation session. So this little ritual called a rati is one of simply lighting a candle. See, because when we sit in the room and we sit and we meditate, okay, we are releasing energy, the high vibrating energy, and even the low vibrating energy, the stuff that no longer serves us. The things that sit in our cellular memory. Eckhart Tolle likes to call them pain bodies. Psychologists will call them your triggers, right? Okay, so as these things are coming up in our meditation, we're releasing those things. So in order to keep the room at a high vibration after the meditation, light a little tea candle or any other type of candle that you might have in a safe way so it doesn't burn down your room or your house, please. Okay? And know that that light, that bright light, is at a high vibration. And that light is going to draw in negative low vibrations, burning them off, clarifying the room. See, this same practice can be used, let's say you go somewhere new, you're staying at a hotel. And you come into the hotel, well, we don't know who was in the hotel. We don't know who was in that room before we were in there, what was going on. So when you come in, just intention alone, our intention carries a magnetic field, a frequency, a vibration. So when we enter into that hotel room, take out that candle and light it with pure intention. That is going to help to clear the room and raise the vibration in the room as well. Okay? So, aho, right?
So there's also Palo Santo and
sure.
Sage.
Sure, we could use Palo Santo, sage, other types of incense, other things that can also help to raise the vibration in a room, decrease the lower vibration, and allow space for us to feel healthy and safe in which we can meditate, live, and prosper in. Right? Okay. So, now we know that there is a place, okay? The best place to meditate is actually out in nature. Why, you might ask, would it be out in nature? Well, see, our mind sees issues around us all of the time. So we tend to say, well, Mother Nature's out of balance. No, it's us who are out of balance. Mother Nature is actually always in balance, even when we're busy doing things that seem to be harming her very well-being. She immediately starts doing something else on the other side of the world or somewhere else in order to create cleansing, in order to bring herself back in balance. So when we sit in Mother Nature and we sit on the ground, we are sitting with the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And naturally, we start to feel more in balance.
Grounded.
And grounded. So in turn, our meditation will take place much easier, much quicker, and we will feel more grounded and more in balance when we are out in nature.
Right.
But we all don't always have that.
No.
Maybe someone lives in Canada, right, and it's really cold. For instance, two of our students, Eric, Sophia, how are you? We just got news, it is snowing in Germany. Well, if it's snowing outside and it's very cold, and let's say it's wet snow, well, we know that's not very comfortable to go sit outside in the snow or in the freezing cold and meditate.
Unless you're Wim Hof.
Unless you're Wim Hof, right? So we do what? We come inside. So creating that sacred space inside your house, even if you don't have a room, pick a corner of a room. Pick a shelf in a room. And that's where you sit. That's where you focus your energy. Create a little altar.
Right.
That's a little space where you put things in front of you that remind you of high vibrations. Maybe they're pictures of loved ones who have passed away, or your teachers. Maybe if you're religious, it's a picture or a cross or a Ganesha or a Buddha or something that's in front of you. Maybe you have feathers and crystals and other things that can also help to raise the vibration and increase the vibration while you're meditating. So see, everybody can have a space. You don't need a room, and if it's inclement weather outside, create a nice little space in a corner, on a shelf, somewhere in your bedroom, in your office, in your living room, in your den. Create that space for yourself.
Yeah, you can take it a step further and even involves different colors, right, that are soothing colors for you. You can involve aromatherapy. You can involve, like Ira said, crystals. Bring in plants. Bring in some nature. So all these things will support you in creating that space of positive vibration for yourself. A little altar. It's really nice and simple. It doesn't have to be complex.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Thank you for that, Val. Right? Colors. Colors are very good.
Colors are great.
Okay, so we're going to ask Kim, do you have any questions so far about the place?
No.
No. Kim says no.
Should
All
we
right.
check on the phones? You'll have to
no.
send us your questions.
Send us your questions.
Later.
Yeah,
Send
we'll
it
answer
via
that.
email or just put it on the thread. Rachel, Eric, and Sophia.
Okay. So, next is the time of day to
And anyone
meditate.
else, actually. Feel free.
Yes. So the time of day to meditate. So the first thing I want to tell you is, as long as you're meditating, it's the right time of day. However, there are better times of day to meditate, possibly than others. Okay, we're going to explain this.
Optimize your experience.
The most favorable and effective time to practice meditation is at dawn and dusk. The most desirable time is between the hours of 4 and 6 a.m. This is called the Brahmahurta, and in these hours the mind and atmosphere are clean and unruffled by activities of the day. Around sunset and just before bed are also good times in which to meditate. But no matter what time is favorable for you, make sure that you will not be disturbed by outside distractions. So I want to speak into this a little bit, right? The Brahmahurta. We call this the godly hour, okay? Between the hours of 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. See, that's when the world around you is asleep. Not even the birds have woken up yet. Everything is at a very low vibration.
Remember, it's peaceful.
It's peaceful.
Sattvic.
And if you were to wake up somewhere between 4 and 6 a.m., rather than going back to sleep, wake up. Sit up in your bed. Go to your special space, your altar, your corner, your room, outside, sitting under a tree. Maybe you even, I don't know, sit by your pool. Okay? But the idea is that during these hours when you just woke up, not much has gone through your head yet. You yourself are at your most peaceful state. And the world around you is peaceful, so we don't have distractions. And now we can sit in the quiet. We can sit and come to understand ourselves. without all of the chitter chatter and the, oh, what do I got to do today? Oh, what do I got to do right now? Hey, what am I missing? What does somebody need? It's early. Nobody needs anything. Only yourself needing time with yourself.
So even if you do that for 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes before you are going to sleep or at dusk, like Ira said, it doesn't have to be an hour, right? These days, obviously, most people have more time at home than usual, obviously. So the 15 minutes, though, before you get your day started that's uninterrupted, and Ira said, low vibration, meaning that it's not low energy-wise, it's low as in quiet. Everything's quiet and peaceful, and that sanctity, that serenity that we can cultivate for ourselves is easier. Creating it with greater ease, joy, and grace when everything outside is still makes it easier for us to find the stillness. There's less pratyahara. So for example, if you were on the meditation with us this morning, the world had already gotten going. You could hear there's some garbage trucks. You could hear the cock-a-doodle doing of the neighboring rooster, right? So that means you have to practice extra to have pratyahara, sense withdrawal, withdrawing your senses from that external busyness and noise around you. So it's even more simple and more...
less effort.
Yeah, less effort, just more ease in creating it at that early hour when the sun hasn't even come up yet.
Less distractions.
Less distractions makes it simpler for you. So if you have family, if you have kids, let them know. Just say, hey, mom or dad needs this 15, 20 minutes to themselves so we can come back and be even better for you.
Excellent.
Yeah,
so what we can see here is time of day, early morning, or at dusk, right? The sun goes down, the birds go to sleep. The natural world starts to quiet down.
And the other thing that's even more important about that too is it creates a whole nother level, whole nother vibration that has you in your flow state for your entire day, right? And then the evening one, that little bookend, creates a better quality sleep that then in turn helps your immune system to recover and for you to optimize yourself at a deeper level. Yeah.
So, again, speaking into this time, and as Val said, look, start off with a 15-minute meditation.
This is great.
Okay, and we're about to start talking about the habit, okay? But I want to just speak into time here for a second. For many of you out there who are watching and listening, maybe you remember the lovely actress Goldie Hawn, right? Beautiful actress. Now she has her daughter is also an actress. Well, once they did an interview with Goldie Hawn, and they said, you're such a busy schedule, and we realize, that you eat really well and you work out. What else is it that you do to just keep this positive energy and to allow yourself to be in this space all the time? She says, well, I meditate every day. And they said, how do you find any time to meditate? And she said, well, I meditate for 3 minutes every day. And they said, 3 minutes? What does that do? And she said, 3 minutes times 30 days, that's 90 minutes. I meditate for an hour and a half every single month. See? Because you know what? You can sit and meditate for a very long time, but maybe you only need 3 minutes. Give it to yourself. Give yourself that pause. Whether it's early in the morning, the middle of the day, or later at night, give yourself that time. Yeah. So now we're going to talk into the habit, right? Because consistency in meditation is important. Consistency, each and every day. Try to meditate at the same time every day. Start for 15 minutes and work your way up to an hour, as we were just speaking. Okay? It is important to practice every day. Soon you will find that meditation will be craved. And you will not feel full without it. When I came back from my yoga teacher training, that was the first time I started meditating on a daily basis. And I was so excited to go to my teacher training to learn how to teach yoga. And when I came home, I was so excited to meditate. That was my embrace, I was like, oh my God, this meditation is amazing. To find stillness, to find my own inner self, and to see who I am. Really amazing. So when we start doing it at the same time every day, it starts to create a habit. Right? How many people out there work out, go to the gym, play a sport, and you do it at the same time every day or the same time during the week? And I know all of you, about an hour before it happens, what happens to your body? It starts getting excited. Your heart starts to pump, your blood starts to move, your body's saying, oh my God, it's almost time to go to the gym, and you start to feel an energy start to increase. Maybe you got a soccer game. Right? You play every Saturday. It's Saturday morning. You're starting to get excited. Your body is alive. It lives without you. And it gets excited. So does your brain. And so do you.
And so does your gut.
So the more we meditate, the more we create a habit, the more we will start to crave this inner dwelling, this inner peace that we have. Now here's something interesting. Right? We choose to do something and we get a result. From that result, we then choose that we want to do it again. Right? We see that these things can happen with things that are good for us and things that aren't so good for us. Right? But this is how a habit gets formed. Because there was a result that we enjoyed, we choose to do it again. And again and again, and now we have a habit. Well, what comes from a habit? Well, character. And so from a habit, we start to create character. It starts to change our tendencies, our aptitudes, the way we carry ourselves, the way we talk, the way we think. See, now that character starts to turn to our personality. Right? So from habit to character to personality. And none of us are stuck in any one character or personality. If we want to change our way of being, our way of thinking, our way of talking, our way of experiencing the world, well, it has to start with a choice of creating a new habit that is going to have an effect on our character and ultimately our personality. So, let's create the habit of meditating each and every day. And if you don't get it at the exact same time, that's okay. Just still make sure to take the time to do it. You can show up, you can watch us at 8 a.m. and be in our meditation. You can rewind those and watch them at another day. You can go on YouTube and download some meditations. We love some really simple guided meditations. It's Abraham Hicks on YouTube.
They have 4 15-minute guided meditations. Abraham Hicks General Well-Being Meditation, Abraham Hicks Financial Well-Being, Abraham Hicks Physical Well-Being, pretty pertinent right now, and Abraham Hicks Relationship Well-Being. And they're all just 15 minutes. They use binaural sounds in the background, and they feed you positive vibe information, and then they leave you out in the ether on your own for a few minutes. So the beginning is guided, really easy for beginner meditators. We share that here with our students as well, and it's a nice thing just to have. If you're feeling a little busy or a little antsy and you just want to tune in to guided, that's a great place to start.
Okay.
So from what Ira was saying, there's 4 pillars to our health. And there's lifestyle, exercise, attitude, nutrition. Lifestyle is how we live. So these different practices, knowing what these practices are, and actually decisively choosing them consciously for yourself, mindfully for yourself, this makes the difference in how your life turns out, how your relationships turns out, how your work turns out, all these things. So cultivating this practice and developing the habit consistently is what's going to influence your lifestyle.
Okay. So now we understand the habit. Now we're going to move into the sitting position. Okay? Because our sitting position is very important. So this morning I was explaining in our meditation that our hips need to be higher than our knees. Getting a nice pillow or multiple pillows or a block or something to sit on to lift your hips up higher than your knees. Then maybe you'll attempt to spread your knees out wide as they can and let the feet come as close as they can into center. If you find that your knees are up here, well then find something higher to sit on, and that will allow for your knees to start dropping towards the floor.
Yeah.
If you still find that they're off a little bit, put some pillows under them so that they're supported.
Yeah.
In time, things will start to drop. You can sit high for your entire life meditating. There's nothing wrong with that. It's really good for blood flow and circulation. Or you can start to come down. But look, I've been doing this for over 10 years now, okay? And I still put a cushion under my butt. I don't sit flat on the floor.
Yeah.
I allow myself for my hips to get a slight rotation forward. Sometimes I'll literally pick my tush, my butt up off the air, get my tailbone to reach and point backwards, and then sit it down, and then I sit up tall, creating that natural S-curve in the back.
Yeah, this
Okay?
is very important for being able to teach others about meditation, and also to support you in your sitting for the period of time that you're sitting in comfort, because the spine gets elongated. Otherwise, if we don't have the cushion, we have a tendency to naturally slump. We're always over a phone or over a computer, and so we are starting to round. We want to support ourselves in as many ways as we can in creating this comfort in our posture so that we can sit longer without distraction by the body.
Absolutely. So again, by erecting the spine and the neck, okay, this will allow the energy to flow uninterrupted up and down the spine as we meditate. Okay. Also, the other thing is, see, when the knees are up, if you notice, as soon as I bring my knees up, my hips start to tilt under. My tailbone is tilting under, and that's going to start to, instead of that little curve in my lower back, it's going to straighten it out. And now I'm going to have compression, which will lead to lower back impingement while I am doing my best to meditate. So our posture is really, really important. And it may take you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 times of meditating until you finally get that posture that you really like. So again, have compassion for yourself, non-judgment, and allow yourself to get into this practice. Nobody jumped onto the basketball court and started making swooshes. Nobody jumped onto a soccer field and just immediately became a Pele, a Maradona, one of these amazing players. Nobody just decided, I want to be president. They had to go through school. They had to learn things. They had to experience it. So allow yourself that time to experience your posture and to make adjustments and changes as necessary. So the psychic current needs to travel unimpeded from the base of the spine up to the head. Okay, that's our natural energetic flow as it flows along the spine up and down, right? Now, helping to steady the mind and encourage the concentration will be this energetic flow. But if we find that we're not sitting comfortably, where does our mind and our energy go towards? The things that are uncomfortable, the things that are painful, the things that are just not allowing us to sit in the stillness. So I hope you can all understand why our posture really is so important. Okay? So sitting in Padmasana, or half Padmasana, or something of the sort, okay, in some type of triangular posture, really helps. Just make sure, don't squeeze your legs in really tight, because that's going to cut off blood flow. Allow them to move out a little bit. Don't put one foot on top of the other. That's going to create pressure, which in turn is going to stop off blood flow, which is going to make things uncomfortable, okay? Allow yourself that space to be open, one foot in front of the other. If you take half Padmasana or full Padmasana, that's fantastic. I'm going to speak into this. Your legs may fall asleep, and that's okay. Let your legs fall asleep. How many of you, right, have woken up and your hand was asleep and you go to pick it up and it just drops? I mean, that thing is dead, right? You're like, come on, and it's just, and then it starts to come back. You're like, hey, right? So the idea here is if your leg starts to fall asleep, let it fall asleep. It's not going to fall off. Nothing weird's going to happen to it. It's just going to fall asleep, right? But if it starts to fall asleep and you're like, oh, and you move it, and you're like, oh, that feels better, and then you bring it back in, all you did was So now you're just like, oh, my meditation didn't work. Well, that's because you got so involved with your body. Let the body go. The body is filled with sensors. Okay? Thermoreceptors, chemoreceptors, all these different receptors in our body that in turn bring us information. So when you're sitting in your meditation, all of a sudden you start to feel your leg falling asleep, it starts to tingle. It's just sending you information to say, hey, I'm about to go to bed. And you can just say to it, okay, I feel you're about to go to sleep. Go to sleep. And then just come back. Don't stay in that neural pathway. The more energy we give, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. What we focus on is what we create. And it's a disruption. So just allow that disruption that's taking place in your meditation for a moment with a signal of information to simply be recognized. Don't push it away, because that's like, a dog when a dog wants to play. If you push the dog away, it thinks you're playing with it. So don't push it away. We don't want to give it energy. We just want to recognize it, honor it, and say, okay, body, go to sleep. I'm fine. Come back to your breath. Focus on your breath. Literally watch your breath for the next 15 to 20 breaths. Nothing else. That will take somewhere between 2 to 3 minutes. And I promise you, at the end of those 2 to 3 minutes, that leg will be fully asleep, and you will be like, oh my God, I don't feel the leg anymore. Congratulations. Okay? Even my teacher, we used to sit and meditate for an hour. And afterwards, he'd be like, oh, he'd open up his leg, and he'd start to open it up. And he's been meditating for something like 40 years. Okay? So, point being, just let it fall asleep. All right? Very important. All right?
So just to add to that, the key, right, when we started, is being able to not get attached. So that includes if there's discomfort in the body, we're not attached to our thoughts, we can just label them thinking, come back to our breath, come back to our focus. If our body starts to fall asleep or there's a little bit of discomfort, you can acknowledge it, recognize it, give it that awareness, come back to your center, right? So that's not getting attached and involved with a conversation like, oh my God, I have to move it, right? You're creating new neural pathways through the awareness, choosing to focus on your focus, be it the breath, obviously a big one, and then there's others. And through that, the focus will amplify and grow that you choose rather than the distraction of body, mind, etc. Right? Focus leads to meditation. Dharana leads to dhyana.
Okay. So the position should be pleasant but firm. Okay. You should feel steady as a mountain.
Steady. Good.
Right? And flowing as honey within. All right? So now we understand positioning. Okay? And what that position should be like. Now, some people say, well, can I lay down? No. You can lay down if you're being guided throughout the entire thing so you stay present.
Like yoga.
Otherwise, remember what I said earlier. The difference between meditation and sleep is a heartbeat and a breath. That's it. One heartbeat different, one breath different, ever so slightly. So, the idea is if when we lay down, well, for, 45% of our lives, when we lay down, we go to sleep. Right? So, naturally, when we lay down, the body thinks sleep, especially if you lay down and you start to lower your heart rate, lower your breath, you're going to fall asleep. So that's why we meditate sitting tall. It also, again, allows that energy to flow from earth up to consciousness and back. Okay? Now, I'm going to speak this as the last thing for our lecture for right now. We'll be coming back in part 2. But for now, we'll finish with the breath. The breath, we want to breathe rhythmically. Begin with a deep abdominal breathing. It's what we call conscious breathing. It just allows us to be aware of the breath and aware of our body. It helps us to move energy out so that we can start to settle down. Then we move to a slower rate of breath. Inhale, exhale rhythmically for approximately 3 seconds each. That's a nice rhythm to start getting yourself into that will give you focus. Before you know it, the mind will start to quiet, and then just let go of the breath. Just let it be on its own. The breath knows what to do. Trust it. The breath trusts you. So we're going to leave it at that. We're going to be coming back at 2 p.m. today for the second half of our lecture on meditation. I hope all of you enjoyed today's lecture so far. If you have any questions, please feel free, type them in. We'll get back to you. We'll even do our very best to bring them up in the second half of the lecture after we go and we have our lunch. Thank you all for showing up. We truly appreciate you. Have a blessed next hour and a half. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste, Kim. I lost this one.